One of the more controversial titles, maybe the controversial title of the Nintendo Switch launch, is Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. As the title suggests, this is an intro to the new system, showing off its features and explaining the hardware to the player. Seems like something everyone should start their experience with the new system, except, as you probably well know by now, this game is not packed in and it cost $10. This upset pretty much everyone universally, myself included, but I did go ahead and decide to spend the $10 to check it out. And now, after finishing the game and just about 100%ing it, all the content I have to say, Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour is good, sometimes very good, and that's a shame. Don't forget to throw a like on the video if you enjoy it and consider subscribing. I plan on putting out several Switch 2 reviews and impression videos this month. Alright, so Welcome Tour is good. Let's start there. Why is that a bad thing? Mainly because I really do feel like everyone who gets this system should be playing this game, and obviously that will not be happening. Whether it be disinterest or just not buying it off of principle, thinking it should have been a pack-in, I understand the logic, but I really do think this game does a great job showing out the system. It took me a surprising 10 to 12 hours to get through the whole thing and covered everything from fun tech demos with the hardware, detailed explainers on why certain hardware decisions were made with very well done looks under the hood, tons of great minigames that range from very easy and fun to surprisingly difficult, challenging games that I played for 30 minutes plus trying to get the top scores on. You start Welcome Tour in a line, waiting for a Switch 2 event, which I thought was a funny bit, and then you end up on top of the left Joy-Con and you run around it to various points. The main goal of the game is to learn about the system and find each and every button, sensor, etc. You don't have to play the minigames or even really do the deep dive lessons into the hardware. Really, you just have to run around and find each piece of each section of the console. This is probably my least favorite of the three main ideas of this game. Sometimes you get all the parts very easy and you can move on to the next portion. Sometimes you get stuck looking for some random sensor or the random spot they chose to be the checkpoint to find the screen itself that you're running on top of. If you were to just find these things and skip out on the lessons and the minigames in order to get through it, one, I think you're missing the point, and two, the game would not be very good. So let's talk about the minigames. Each segment of the console you run around on has 2 to 3 minigames, and most of these minigames have several iterations of increasing difficulty. There are 3 medals to get for each minigame, the first one being pretty hard to miss, second one being a good challenge, and the third one often requiring you to really know what you're doing on that given task. I made the decision to get 3 medals on each minigame in this title, and some of the later ones really put you through it. I spent almost an hour going through the third medal on one game specifically. The thing is though, I had a really good time with almost all of the minigames. They can often be generic in presentation. There's really no injection of Nintendo IP to juice any of these up outside of one specific tech demo where you play Mario 1-1. But they all played well and were easy to understand and fun to actually control. The Joy-Con 2s are really the star of the show here. They really want you to know about the improved rumble in the Joy-Con, and they really want you to know that these things can be used as mice. Welcome Tour is really heavy on the mouse games, which to me was a blast, but I also must caveat this by saying that I played this game in maybe the most ideal setting possible. My desk is covered in one giant mouse mat, so these games all adapted to my environment super easy, but I imagine if you were playing all these on your pant leg or on a kitchen table or something, they would not be nearly as fun to play, and I bet you're going to have trouble getting some of those higher tough scores. I was struggling on a handful of them in my setup. I don't think I would have been able to pull it off on my leg in my lap. With that all being said, the mouse mode really did shine for me. I played a handful of other games on the system so far, and even though the new Mario Kart is fun, Pokemon Scarlet runs better, GameCube games are on NSO, these all play like video games that I've played before. There is nothing especially new or exciting about the way I interact with them, but in Welcome Tour, it has me controlling games with a mouse in each hand. It has me putting my head down to the desk to hear a tiny little variance in vibration from the Joy-Con to know where to click. It has given me that feeling that a new Nintendo launch system should in the past when I'm getting new gameplay features for the first time. Welcome Tour made the Switch 2 feel different than the Switch 1. Yes, I know the concept of playing games with the mouse is not new, but combining the mouse with the rumble and having the capability in both hands excites me. I just know the next WarioWare in the system is going to be bonkers. Outside of the mouse games, which once again, a good portion of them is mouse games, there are games that use the touchscreen, games that want to focus on looking at refresh rates and fidelity of the screen itself, as well as some Pro Controller games and camera games. But you may be saying to yourself, I did not get the Pro Controller or the camera, and if that's the case, then you can't play some of these minigames. The games with these requirements are few, and they are later in the experience, and even if you cannot play the games that require the camera or the GR, GL back buttons, which I'll now be calling the gurgle buttons, you can still at least look at the lessons and details about the hardware. It won't stop you from moving to the next area, but you won't be able to get all the medals. You do have some options though. The Switch 2 will take other USB cameras, not just the Nintendo branded one, and if you happen to have the charging Joy-Con grip, that has the gurgle buttons as well that you can use. There are no rewards for acing these minigames outside of unlocking more minigames in the fun of beating the game itself, but there is a pretty thorough checklist letting you know how many medals you have in each game and how many games you have left to unlock. It also tracks how many insights you have read, the deep dives into the design of the system and the decision-making thought process behind it, and the associated quizzes that accompany them. I really enjoyed these insights. Seeing detailed looks under the hood on the system was neat and not something I feel like Nintendo often or has ever really done in a game to this extent. They will get into little details about why certain parts inside the Joy-Con are shaped a certain way and why some changes were made from the Switch 1 counterparts. I really enjoyed seeing this extra attention to the detail to making the system feel more robust and more like a premium product, something you can feel the moment you take it out of the box. Some insights also do a good job at looking back at Nintendo's legacy of past Nintendo products and talking a bit about the history behind some of those features and how it led to the Switch 2. As a lifelong Nintendo fan, these got my attention and were a nice touch as well. Overall, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Welcome Tour. I spent almost my entire first day with the system getting through it, and I do feel like I genuinely learned about the Switch 2 and was glad to do it. Some of the minigames were a blast, even if some of the later medal requirements are a little unnecessarily difficult in my opinion. Shout out to the kickstand minigame. But you should not feel compelled to get all these medals, just play until the minigame isn't fun anymore and move on. I do think if you don't have a good mouse mode set up, your mileage with this game will likely be different than mine, so keep that in mind. If you don't want to buy this game because you don't like tech demos, or if you just don't want to support Nintendo making something like this a standalone title, I completely get that. But if you're interested in the game, I do think it is worth your time and the $10. If this game were in a vacuum, I would say I definitely got my $10 worth of fun and time out of it. But we aren't in a vacuum. This game would have been a very, very good pack-in game, and that would make so many more people appreciate the system and some of the gameplay possibilities, but instead, it will forever be this notorious tech demo. Thanks for watching.